Being a dad is hard. It's high stakes. It takes a toll on our self-worth, mental health, and can be lonely. But why would we ever want to do something so important in isolation? Legacy Makers, a conversation for dads, is quite simply two normal dads having conversations about, you guessed it, being a dad. The highs, the lows, and the learnings along the way. We are four dads. We want to remedy the deficiency we see in community for dads, and we want to ruthlessly encourage dads on their journey to build lasting legacy for the faces they love the most. All right, Kev, we are back. It's good to be with you, man. I was thinking I was coming back from a really long trip recently.
That means you went somewhere really cool, probably.
Far. It was far.
Far,
so it was a far trip, kind of over in Europe, and I was flying back, and I had this like angst around. Listen, the good news about long flights is, especially on time zones, everyone's sleeping, you get a lot of time to think.
What do you do? Are you a movie guy on a flight? Are you a catch-up productivity? Are you sleep?
Anything like in the U.S., I'm always just like, unfortunately, crushing work.
Uh-huh.
But it's great. Like I catch up and I feel so much better after the flights. But like long flights, I can actually like sit and watch. I ended up watching, there's American Primeval on Netflix. There's like gnarly old West story around that. Highly recommend. But I watched some shows, but like I had this time to think about the re-entry because I was gone for a few days, like kind of out of pocket. I had a big weekend coming up with the kids, and I just felt like a little bit of turmoil internally.
Walk me through that? Like you feel pressure, you feel torn, you feel
like I felt
anxious?
What? I think anxious is a good word. It was just more of like, I'm going to land right at, I think it was 2 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern time. And it was going to just flood because then I had to be home that evening. We had an event, we had kids, and then we rolled right into the weekend, and we had, I think, 4 basketball games, a lacrosse thing. The girls had something. And I started thinking about like just the importance of peace. Like not like I'm talking inner peace, because there's you can still have a ton going on, but do you know anybody like that where you look and they just seem, they're unflappable. Yeah. Like I can visualize a few people, and I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But it just drummed up like as a dad, the importance of peace is really, really important. Especially in the world today where it's just, quite opposite of peaceful at times.
Talk to me, like, why do you think, because there are a lot of times I don't feel that peace.
Yeah.
I'm also very quick to call it out in Laura when she's not feeling like, hey, we need to calm down here.
Yeah.
Like we need to, like, this is not.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're a good compliment to each other in that. But how do you see that? Like, you think you need to have that peace because your kids are feeding off of this energy, or they're? Yeah,
I think, well, first, I think there's just the world that we live in, the jobs that we have, the relationships that are important to us. Like they require energy. They can be stressful. And I don't think all stress is bad, because stress, I think means that something is meaningful to you and you're putting a lot of energy in it. But I started to almost like unpack, okay, what is preventing peace for me?
Okay.
And I'd love for you to riff on it. Like one of the things that came to my mind as I was on the flight, I was like literally making a couple decisions, like on, people, on kind of structure, on some other things that were just, I'm like, I wonder, like decision making for me is a big thing. Like I'm constantly making decisions. Like I roll from one call to the next, and it's like people are looking to me to make decisions. And I started thinking about the amount of decisions we make on a daily basis. I think is gotta be, I don't know the number, but thousands and thousands, and some of them meaningful. Some of them are just like, am I going to go grab a coffee now or not? But I think that is one thing for me that I think is it's just a barrier, because it's just constantly just making a decision. So when you get home and Brittany says, what do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't want to, I can't talk about this. I don't know what I want to eat. You make that decision, right?
So for you, it's the decision fatigue creates,
I think it's one of them.
A lack of peace. Mine is, I often default into being a human doing instead of a human being. I feel a sense of accomplishment when I'm crossing things off the list. And if I am not feeling productive or the list is piling up, that's when I feel like I have a lack of peace at home, because I'm physically there, but my mind is somewhere else thinking about, hey, as soon as I can, it's like I'm rushing bedtime. I'm frustrated because if I can just get them to bed, I can get to that time where I can knock those 3 things off the list. And then I know that Laura, if like she's gonna be like, hey, we haven't talked all day, but if I can get this, so that's for me is needing to get things done.
And do you find yourself, okay, I'm going to be present with the kids but like, doesn't your brain also then think about the three things the whole time you're trying to get them to bed?
100%. I am not physically, I'm not mentally present a lot, but I'm also like, I'm. What I can tell is that their energy feeds off mine sometimes, and so if I'm not at peace, the whole thing is not peaceful.
Yeah.
It's just there's a level of tension that's there.
Yeah, one other thing for me I was thinking about is just the overscheduling and busyness of our lives. Some of it is just the kids at the stage that they're in, and there's just activities, and I think activities are good for them. Like I want my kids to be in things. I want them to go from this extracurricular to that. I love team sports. I love them being involved in church, like Camden volunteers a couple times a month. Like Brittany's got her stuff. I think it's important to have your calendar filled with meaningful things.
Yeah.
But there is a pressure that I feel that prevents peace around, like, I'll look at my week and I'm like, man, I've got like a 30-minute window during the day for this whole week that I can squeeze something in. And I had this really interesting like this epiphany a couple weeks ago because I was feeling frustration. I was getting, look, I try to be very kind with my time. If someone says, hey, I'd love to get some time with you. Can you help me with this? Oh, people did that for me. Like I attribute where I am today to people leaning into me. So I'm really thoughtful wanting to do that. Well, that continues to pile and pile and pile. And then I did an inventory and I'm like, all right, because I've got a team that's rather large and I try to meet with everyone on my team once a year for 30 minutes, right? Just a check-in. The time is theirs, however they want to use it. I've got my direct reports. We meet twice a month for half an hour, checking on the business. One of those calls is a career kind of development thing. And then I've got my team calls, like my direct team. And so when I did the math on how much of my time in like a work week that is and I projected it out, it was like 16% of my entire year.
Yeah.
I started thinking about
like, okay,
16% of my time, and I'm not necessarily getting anything back. I'm leaning into others. And so that was this like epiphany in me of like, all right, you've got to be really thoughtful about your time. Like busyness cannot be a reason to just prevent peace. Yeah. So that was another.
Okay. So decisions, the to-do list, the quantity of time, the calendar, comparison, I feel like is an obstacle to peace. We're doing all these different things, but you hear somebody else's, you see they're doing this, they're doing this. That's a challenge. What else do you think prevents peace?
Well, I think that back to the time, like poor physical and mental health, like that's a huge one.
Which seems like it stands in direct competition to this time piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you're not physically healthy and mentally healthy, you don't have peace. But if you don't have the time to do that, so yeah, that's okay.
I think we've exhausted the fact that there are factors in the world that are going to try to rob us of peace.
And here's the thing I think that dads need to know is it's going to look different for every single dad. There's somebody else who is listening who's a police officer or a firefighter, and theirs is the thing they saw yesterday at work that's sticking with them in their mind. There's somebody who's a pastor who had somebody call them, and they've got... So other people's may be different than mine and yours, but something is preventing our peace, and that somehow has got to affect our kids.
It has to. And I think when I think about, okay, so we know that that's going to happen. It's, as we typically say, it's tension that we got to manage and not solve. Like, we're not, unless you go live on an island and you're not around people, and like, you're not really going to have these inputs that are going to, it's just the way of the world. So I think I started thinking about, all right, why is this important for me to try to manage this better to demonstrate to my kids? Like, and one of the things that came to my mind is when I'm feeling peace, when I feel like that, I'm so much more patient with my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like tell me how
that plays out. Like
it's you can't help but bring the like chaos home. Right.
Yeah.
And you've got these little faces that are waiting for you to come home, and they don't understand. Right.
You're talking about home. I mean, this morning I took George to school, and he couldn't find these pants he wanted to wear, and we had this deal, and he wasn't ready. and it was causing me to be late. And I'm telling you, like I apologized to him on the way to school this morning because I'm frustrated because I was thinking about all the things I needed to do, and I had less patience with him than I should have. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't have high expectations,
Correct.
but
I think when we're not patient, right, like it's just going to drive conflict. We're not our best, and therefore you're not making the impact that you need to make on your kids. Like,
how do you think it affects our relationships with them?
Well, listen, I think they're going to start to say, okay, like I think they see us differently, right? Like I think I shared on a previous podcast, like if after a sporting event, all I'm doing is correcting and correcting and correcting. And I had that moment with Camden where I was so excited to share how great he did.
Yeah, and you
I
don't
can
want to hear it.
See it like, hey, bud, I want to come ride with me on the way home. And like, they're going to expect that this is like the normal thing. This is now what dad represents. He's frustrated. He's, I got to be, on eggshells. And that's not what we want to model. Right.
Yeah. And when we were getting ready for this, you just also wrote the word joy in all caps. I think that's like when you don't have peace, you're also not, like, it's just not fun.
It's not fun.
Like, I think about you said earlier, you talked about leaders or people you're around that seem unflappable. Those are usually the people that are most fun to be around.
They are.
But the people that are all wound so tight, and that's not a fun place to be. And I think we don't want our kids to be like, man, when dad's home,
right,
man, it's not fun.
I think when we're not peaceful, the temperature, the figurative temperature in our house, right, that we're setting is so different, right? And so that's a big one for me when I think about what I want to model for my kids, right? I need to be patient.
So let's dive into that for a second. Being the thermostat, not the thermometer in the house. That's a old leadership buzzword, but like setting the tone for the environment. We want to have peace. That's I think we agree. Like, nobody is listening and being like, nah, I disagree. I think peace is not important. But I'm curious, how do we actually do that? Because on a good day, I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of times where I am driving home or I'm doing this, like I don't feel like I'm able to flip a switch and create peace in my own life to then set the tone at home.
Yeah, I think we'll use peas. We'll use a little just for us to remember. But I'd like to start with just partners. I think the first thing is we think about increasing peace in our life. It's kind of maybe counterintuitive to look outside. But I think those strong partnerships, starting first with your spouse. We talk a ton about community as dads. I think those relationships thriving because you just need people to lean on, right? Like, if we want to bear the weight of the world on our shoulders as dads, and there's a lot of weight on us as there is with moms, it's different, but similar in a lot of ways. Like, I think those strong partnerships are going to be a key to unlock a more peaceful existence as you show up, that alignment.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this. It's not that you want to dump all the crap on somebody else, but I also think the way that we are wired, that if we're having some challenges, it's going to come out somewhere. And if a really negative trait and a pattern that people can fall into is dumping that on their kids, like expecting their kids to do it. So I think that partners is key there, because it can't just be your kids. Like, it's got to be a spouse, it's got to be a community, it's got to be friends that you can share some of the challenges with, so that it doesn't overflow into the kids. Yeah,
and I don't know. I had a breakfast this morning with another guy, and it was a general catch up. But like, I was like, I need to bring this to a different level. Like, and I just approached it with different intentionality. So people might say, okay, got it, partner, I have a good relationship. Like, you have to push these relationships, and then, with your spouse or with friends, like, how do you extract more and give more in these relationships to build that partnership and that strength of the relationship to help again in that quest for peace?
All right, partners, let's talk about perspective.
Yeah.
So our friend David Salyers talks about the way we view things changes how we do things. Thinking to have the inner peace, you've got you got to focus on not just the negative pieces, but on some of those positive things, the gratitude, resilience, back to your purpose.
Yes, I think that, the back to like, what can you really control versus not control? It's so easy to get out of like okay, this is what I got today because I'm so worried about the future. I heard these quotes about like 90+% of everything that we worry about as humans never comes into, fruition, and the energy that we spend there. And that is an absolute robber of our peace, right? Not being present or having the perspective around like, what do I have? Like, I love your like gratitude with the boys. Like, that's a big thing for us. We try to have them just really quickly write down, okay, what are you thankful for? And it's typically, you got to like pull it out of them because they're young and they just, I'm thankful for you. It's like, no, like, what are you thankful for? Like, what are you thankful for about me? I don't know. Like, but you got to push them. You got to get them to build that muscle. I don't think gratitude's something that they inherit, right? It's muscles that they build, and you got to build them over time. And if you don't use them, they atrophy. But you got to teach your kids that, and you got to do it yourself. You got to take inventory.
I'll tell you, the gratitude thing is something that because we're trying to do some of those things you're talking about, that I actually learned from my kids in some ways, because like when we're going to bed and they're praying for things, that they are thanking God for like some of the thank you for our house, thank you for our food, thank you for our cars, thank you. And I'm like, man, I often forget, and that's a perspective shifter to say, hey, somewhere somebody doesn't have these things. So I think that's key. How do you practically do that? Like, is there a system? Is there a hack for this?
No, but I listen, for me, my faith, like I really try to anchor into even what your kids are doing, right? Like in the morning, thankful to open your eyes up. Like it's like that continued acknowledgement that we need to just look around us and understand we're here for a reason. Yep. And if we're not, you just miss it, right? That journaling has been something for me, Kev. I've got this 5-year journal. Brittany has one as well. And it's, January 1st and it's 5 years. And so you theoretically journal something and you get back and you have a year. And I think we're on year 4 of this thing.
Okay.
And so that's helpful. And it's just like a couple like sentences. We typically try to write something in that day that was awesome or bad, but like, it's amazing to go back and have that perspective of like, I'm looking at like this time in 2021, like seeing what was on my mind and what I was anxious about. And then you realize like, okay, like it seems so small now, but in that moment, it was important enough for me to acknowledge that it was a challenge, right?
Yeah. That also helps you see how far you've come.
That's exactly
or things
right.
you thought were going to kill you at the time. Okay. So steps to peace. There's partners. So you got to have partners. Yep. There's a perspective, being grateful for what you got. There's also priorities, which I feel like your journaling can do that a little bit, but to me, that's recentering on what actually matters.
Yeah.
Prioritizing the priorities there.
Yeah. I think that I love what was it that the priority was? It was a singular.
Yeah. For 500 years, the word priority was singular.
Yeah.
And then in the 1900s, we pluralized it. And that guy that wrote the book, Essentialism, says that illogically we reasoned that by changing the word, we could bend reality. And he's basically saying his premise is you can't have multiple priorities. Now, I don't know that I fully agree with that, but I think you've got to you got to put them in the right order.
Right. And I think the more you have on that list, the less impactful you're going to be. Even if you have 5 great priorities, it's just going to be less impactful if you had 3 or if you had 1. Can you really only have 1 in life? Probably not.
Well, here's where I think there's a specific tie to peace. If you haven't prioritized your priorities and you just have, these are the 10 things I want to get done, and you get 8 of them done and you don't do these other 2, you're going to have this angst we're talking about, this lack of peace because there are things that haven't gotten done. But if you have clearly said what's in order and you did the most important things, I know when I do that, I will feel more of a sense of peace. And the reality is there's going to be times I haven't done things I should do, and that at least I can pinpoint, this is why I'm feeling this angst right now, because I didn't do what I should have done on the front end. Yeah,
and the order may change at times, right? Like it's not going to always be locked into, this is the order of my priorities.
Yeah.
But ideally, the priorities don't change. The other thing on this one that has been a Something I'm really working on, and I'm feeling to start to make progress, and I can see the unlock is just the boundary side of this.
Yeah.
Putting clear boundaries. Because, okay, great, you have priorities, but if you're wired like me where you're a pleaser, you're going to have creep that occurs.
Yep.
Where next thing you know, you say yes to this, you say yes to this, you say yes to this. You're like, wait, like, what am I doing? Like this. So this year really tried to get clear at work on these are the 3 things that I am going to be doing this year. And I'm saying yes to appointments and trips only if they hit these criteria.
Yeah.
And I'm not successful always, but that boundary piece has been really helpful to protect that.
And, I realize with some of my friends I hang out with, there's different obstacles to these priorities. Like I think calendaring is key for a lot of us. I also know there's people that they don't have their corporate job is not the same way and they have it, but you can still easily slip into a lack of priorities regardless of it's going to look different for different people, but
totally.
I think we can do that very easily. Okay. So partners, it's about the people that are around us. Perspective is about, you talked about journaling, but being grateful, seeing where we've come, priorities, and then last one is presence. Okay, now I want to hear what you say about this because here's my thing. Sometimes I am present, but I don't have a peaceful presence that I'm bringing. So how does that correlate to peace?
Yeah, I think this is, for me, I'm trying different stuff. I mentioned that Brittany and I are trying to do a little bit of like a digital detox, which just means like very limited social as an example.
You still using your RO?
I am. I love Joey and Heath and those guys.
Yeah.
Shout out to the RO box.
So
guys.
This is a confession time. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Where the RO box was, we moved when we did Christmas. We had the Christmas tree, and it's now, we're recording this. We won't say when, but after the first of the year, and my RO box is still not back up. So in your house, you had this like focal point for a Christmas tree. Well, so
the RO box
we
was
have
before?
way too many Christmas trees.
Okay, got it.
So
Yeah,
this
so do
was
we.
one of the, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there were 6 Christmas trees at our house.
We are in the same disaster.
So, which that can be another episode we can tackle. But yeah, so we moved it, unplugged it for a little while. I still have the app, no excuses, but I'm doing so digital detox is a way to be more physical.
Sure.
So you're saying just trying to eliminate distractions to be present.
That's one big thing. For me personally, type A, if I see something that needs to be fixed, I want to fix it. If there is a mess, I want to clean it. And so I would tell people, know yourself. What that means for me is I had to especially I had some time over the holidays. I think we talked about this. Like
you told us about the dishwasher and dishes. Like you want to get it done, and Brittany's like, no, they got to learn. So, but you couldn't have peace when that's messy.
Exactly. Like if I have a list of stuff to do, like I really prioritized. I need this needs to be fixed around the house, or we need to throw this away, or I need this organ. Like again, I think reducing some of the noise. And again, it's an Eric thing, but I know myself. That helps me be more present.
But I think your kids can feed off of that. So knowing that about yourself is important. I know Brittany reads a lot.
She does.
Laura reads a lot too. I was talking with Elizabeth on our team about this yesterday. Laura has moved to a Kindle, and she loves it. But one of her obstacles is, she says, she's much more comfortable with the kids seeing her reading a book than holding a Kindle, because they're not going to differentiate between a phone or a Kindle, and is she not paying attention to them? So I just, whether it's the to-do list or the checklist or the chores or the digital devices, showing your kids and helping them feel that you're present, I think helps create a more peaceful atmosphere.
I do too. So
I love this. Partners, perspective, priorities, and presence. I'll wrap with this, and then I'm curious, any other thoughts from you? I think we have to prioritize our own peace, and this sounds like so almost woo-woo kind of stuff, but if we don't prioritize us being peaceful, the environment in our house will follow our lead. And so it's got to be a focus for each of us.
Yes. And what I would say is you have to really do the work. with yourself on this. Like I could read there's all kinds of wonderful books and wonderful thoughts around practices to be more peaceful and to attain a higher way of life and all the things. But you got to know yourself. Like we're all wired very differently. I had to know that these, like the decluttering thing was a trigger for me and it causes anxiety, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to do that work. And then the other thing I would say is don't be too proud if you need to talk to somebody, whether that's a therapist or a counselor or someone at church or one of your buddies. Like we'd say it, we're not meant to do this alone. And there are just some things that are going to be better, like worked through, not just by yourself. And I think that don't be afraid to lean into that. But I think as you're listening to this, prioritize peace, not necessarily, hey, I want peace. Like, okay, but what is it going to take to get there? And again, not going to solve it, but how do you manage it in a way where you're making progress towards a more peaceful existence so you can be the best dad you can be and make the impact you want to make?
Love it, man. I think it's a good challenge. I'm glad you brought it up. I can tell when I'm doing it and when I'm not. So I'm going to be more intentional, a little more peace in the Scott household. Sounds good, man. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to Legacy Makers with Kevin Scott and Eric Blumenthal. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.